Morning, everybody. The weather is horrible and I have a whole bunch of work to do, so this is the perfect time to do another quick review. So today I want to talk about backs and belts. I am not an expert on lifting belts, so if you want to get a big education on this, Brandon Campbell has a video where he talks to the guy from Pioneer Leather. They make great belts. I may get one day. But in the meantime, all I have is the Rogue 10mm Echo lifting belt. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about this belt. So I have two of them here. I've got one for me, one for my son. Mine is fatter. My son's just in better shape than I'm in. So one thing I noticed about this belt, and I'm probably like some lifters out there, I used to have the old bodybuilder style belt that really probably wasn't very good, and everybody today says that you should not have this thing. But I had one for years and years, and I would use it on heavy lifts, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So for technique, again, check some other websites. Thrall's got a good thing on belly breathing into your lifting belt and bracing your core. So the whole idea is to allow yourself to brace your abdominal section by pushing air down in there and then pushing it back against your spine to help stabilize your spine. The thing you notice though with this belt, so this is Rogue's probably cheapest lifting belt I think that they sell. It's $50. That's their full retail price, so no Black Friday sale or anything on it. So $50, and that's really not much when you think about it. If you went and got one of those old terrible bodybuilding style belts at a big box store, you're probably looking at 30 or 40 bucks, right? So you get this thing, and then the first thing you'll notice right off the bat is this thing is unbelievably stiff. It is ridiculously stiff. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit today. I think that this is a perfectly good belt for what it's for. I think that maybe as you get more skilled and start moving more weight and become more knowledgeable, you may want to choose a different belt. I think this belt's probably appropriate for the majority of lifters. And when I say the majority of lifters, I'm talking about people like me, not competitive power lifters. When you get to that point, you're going to have some preferences and you're probably going to want specific things in your belt. But for a good general purpose belt, this Echo 10mm weightlifting belt, I think works for most people. It's kind of like the Echo 2.0 bar. It's great. It's a huge step up over the big box general fitness and bodybuilding type junk, but it works really well. And so if you want something better, you can get something better. The downside that I saw to this though, it came out of the box and oh my God, in fact, they don't even ship these in boxes. They just wrap them in plastic. They are so stiff. It's like they're shipping a board or something. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about breaking in these belts a little bit. Now, again, I was watching the Pioneer video on Brandon's site, and the guy was talking about belts that were supple. With this belt, you are getting support from the width of it. It is wide from top to bottom, from here to here, right? And so there's not really a lot of room for that to flex very much. So you're bracing up against it. And the difficulty is these things are so inflexible that they're uncomfortable at the sides. Now, people will tell you that eventually this will break in. And I suppose it will. I think if you're being realistic, this thing is going to break in. It's going to take you 10 years to break this thing in. As a person that's just a fitness lifter or something like that, it's going to take longer to break this belt in than could possibly be worth it. Now, just so happens I have a lot of years of experience breaking in leather goods, from breaking in baseball gloves. So studied a little bit about it. I've broken in a lot of leather over my life. And I did some things to my belt that really helped as far as making it supple. So I wanted to talk to you about that, discuss this with you. Again, supple belts are not a bad thing. It's just the reason that a lot of these belts are super stiff, especially if you get into less expensive belts, is that super stiff leather is very inexpensive to get. Whereas if you get top grain leather or the really supple kinds of leather, those are really expensive pieces of leather. So if you're buying a $50 weight belt, no offense, but they're going to use relatively inexpensive leather in it. And so it's going to come to you, it's going to be super stiff. Again, the cheapest leather for these guys to get is crazy stiff leather because it only has certain applications. So how can you make this thing so it's not like trying to bend a piece of plywood around your body when you go to lift, so you're not like jamming up your sides and everything like that? Let me show you two things that I did that just really impacted how supple my belt got. Okay, so I'm holding my belt. If the buckle rattles, just realize, sorry, I know that's annoying, but the way this is built, it's got a little roller on a big giant belt. And then just to talk about the construction, I have the Rogue Inexpensive, the Echo belt has a single prong, got a loop here. It is held together with six rivets of some kind, but you can't really see the fastener, the method by which it's done. It's smooth on both sides. Like everything with Rogue, I mean, I know that this is the Echo line, and I think generally Echo to them means economical. I guess, I don't know, but they spell E-C-H-O so that we don't have to feel bad when we buy their Echo stuff. But to me, buying the cheapest Rogue thing is like buying the cheapest Lexus. It's still unbelievably nice. And this belt, if you just look at the workmanship of it all the way through, it is just a really nice belt. But it's unbelievably stiff, not Rogue's fault. You spent $50 on this thing. You're not going to get the most amazing leather in the world. You're going to have to work this thing to break it in. For instance, just even putting this thing through, through the buckle, and then buckling it and getting it through this thing right here can be a trick. It's just so stiff when you get it. All right, how can you impact that stiffness? First thing I would do, work the leather with your hands, okay? So, I mean, starting at this, just take it, bend it, fold it, break it in half. What you're doing here is you're loosening up these fibers, okay? Cowhide is fiber that just kind of goes in all sorts of directions. So just work it. It's like you're folding it, right? So you're just folding it and keep going. This actually is a little bit of a workout for your hands, but keep going. Just, whoops, bumped it. Advance it a little inch by little inch. And just keep going through the whole thing. Now, if you want, you can do just the sides of this. The sides are probably where you're going to really notice more that this thing is not broken in and it's hurting your sides. So if you wanted to, you could do just the sides, leave the front and the back really stiff. I don't think there's a value to keeping the front and the back of this thing super stiff. So I'm breaking in the whole thing. All right, so I'll skip where it says Rogue. There's stitching there. It's not that I can't. Now, this is after I've done this several times, 2 or 3 times. All right. Okay, so that's number one. Work it with your hands. Work it back and forth. Loosen up the fibers in this thing, okay? That's the deal with this leather, is it's super dense and the fibers are just going everywhere and you have to sort of bust it up. You'll notice right now this thing is unbelievably floppy relative to the way these things are when you first get them, okay? So like they do not act like this when you get them right from the mailman. The next thing I did, okay, so I hope you can see this. Got the belt here, and what I'm doing is I'm just putting it on the ground, and then I'm putting a knee on it, smushing it down with my knee. So the same principle that we were doing with our hands, but we're just putting more weight on it now, okay? Smush with your knee. You want to switch up knees, okay? I tried like seeing if there was something that would work better for a knee, because my knee got a little sore doing this. And like I tried using a kettlebell and maybe sitting some weights on it. Your knee's going to work better than almost anything else for this. So break it with your knee. Keep going. Keep going. This is the second time that I've done this. So I did it obviously before I made the video. And just keep crunching it. Keep crunching it. And so it actually doesn't take all that much time to do this. Kind of doing it in real time for you here. But you just have to work the leather to make it break in. Alright, so people may say that doing this is going to reduce the longevity of the belt. I think realistically for somebody like me, yeah, it's going to reduce it. Instead of lasting 120 years, this is going to make it last for 90 years. So I will never wear out this belt. That's not going to be the problem here. So when it came again, it was ridiculously stiff. If you've gotten these from Rogue, like I said, they don't even package them. They just wrap them in plastic. They're so stiff and hard that they don't really need packaging. Okay, now that I got it, when I got this thing, it was ridiculous. Like I really couldn't even put it on. And you'll see right now, it's very supple. So very easy to put on. If you've bought one of these, you know how hard it is to put it on when it's brand new. But just working it, I mean, you know, a total of 5-10 minutes, this belt is now ready to go. Nice and supple, still braces really well. So it's ready to go now. Totally different belt. And it can actually be used where I would say right out of the box. This thing is so stiff, you really almost can't use it. So that's what I found. Other than that, I just love this belt. I think it's fantastic. I would definitely buy it again. I got one for my son. If I stepped up, I'd probably get maybe a leather belt by Pioneer. They seem to be pretty awesome, but in the meantime, this is only $50, and it's just really hard to go wrong. Like everything Rogue makes, this is absolutely top-notch, top quality. I would totally get it again, and I don't really think you can ever go wrong buying Rogue as long as you can afford it. So, have a great workout. We'll talk to you soon.